Thank you and good evening. Welcome to our Committee of the Adjustment meeting, December 19th, 2022. So I'll call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. I guess all in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Carried. Approval of agenda as presented. Are there any questions or additions, deletions that are required? No? Okay, perfect. Seeing the approval of the agenda, may I get a motion for that? Or a vote? Thank you. Approval of minutes of November 7th, 2022 meeting. Were there any adjustments necessary for those ones, or they're good as they're written? Okay. Can I get a vote to accept the approval of the minutes from November 7th? Okay, thank you. Any declarations of pecuniary interest? Sorry, is there any declarations of pecuniary interest for this meeting? No, seeing none, perfect. We'll go right into new business. So 5 and then A28, 2022, or 2022, Lefebvre. Through you, Mrs. Haley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to begin the meeting this evening by reading wording required under the Ontario Planning Act. This is a hearing under Section 44 of the Ontario Planning Act. Any person may attend this hearing and or make written or verbal representation either in support of or in opposition to the proposed minor variance. If a person or public body does not make oral or written submissions at this hearing before the minor variance is decided upon, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the minor variance of the Committee of Adjustment to the Ontario Land Tribunal, also known as OLT. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a hearing or make written submissions to the Committee of Adjustment before the minor variance is decided upon, the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the OLT unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to do so. So we have two applications before us this evening. The first application is known as A2822. This property is located at part of Lot 8, Registered Plan 19, in the geographic township of Charlottenburg, now in South Glengarry, and it's located at 19698 Warren Street in Williamstown. The subject property is approximately 0.19 acres in area, and this is a map showing the location of the property here. Just to help orient everyone, this would be County Road 17 that comes through the village. So the purpose of the minor variance this evening is the owner has commenced construction of a residential garage that is located closer to the front lot line than what was approved. Therefore, the following relief from the zoning bylaw 3809 is requested. From part 6.2 of the bylaw to reduce the front yard setback from 6 meters to 2.04 meters and to increase the lot coverage from 20% to 35.35%. So I'm just going to show you an image, and I realize this is very difficult to see, but we did, this committee may remember that you've dealt with a minor variance for this application before now. The purpose of that minor variance was to reduce the watercourse setback from the municipal drain, as well as to reduce the front yard setback. When commencing construction, I understand that the placement of the foundation of the footings for the garage was located in the incorrect area. We have the applicant here this evening, so I'm sure she can clarify, but what my understanding is they base their front yard setback from the edge of the street or edge of the pavement as opposed to the front property line, which resulted them to go closer. At the time of a footing inspection, our building official had asked for verification of what that setback would be. And and we also learned during the process that because the applicants believed that their property line actually started at the edge of pavement, it impacted their lot coverage because in fact it started back further where the front property line was located, which now resulted in that increase of lot coverage from 20% to 35%. This is not overly uncommon. If not everybody's used to building, not reading a survey, I mean, we understand that your setbacks are always from your property lines, but that can be very deceiving when you're on site doing your measuring, and so sometimes we do see these things happen. So we have a few photos to show the committee this evening so you can see what's going on the site. So this would be Warren Street right here. This is the edge of where the footings or the foundation has been poured. And you can see some site works here. And you may recall also when we dealt with the first minor variance, there was a request from the Raisin Region Conservation Authority to have the garage come further away from the municipal drain if possible, and the applicants did comply with that. They went to, as close to the house that they felt was possible. So just to summarize some of the land use planning information, the property is designated rural settlement area in the county official plan, and the application does conform to the general intent of the official plan. A detached residential garage is certainly permitted, and the property is zoned residential 1, and it does conform to the general intent of the zoning bylaw. This is a zoning map, and you'll see that the property is located in the yellow, which represents residential 1 zoning. And we did circulate the Raisin Region Conservation Authority. We have to because of the proximity to the municipal drain. And the comments came in later this afternoon, so I apologize that I wasn't able to share them with the committee in advance. But they have reviewed the variance. They had an opportunity to review the location of the structure in question with the previous application. And they do not object to this minor variance as presented with regards to the reduction in front yard setback or lot coverage. It doesn't negatively impact their concerns in terms of proximity to the drain. We also circulated the application to all abutting property owners within 60 meters, and I have not received any written or verbal comments to date. We have no members of the public here this evening in regards to this application other than the property owner. And Planning and Building Departments support the application and recommend it to be approved. And so those that would complete my presentation, Mr. Chair. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And Ms. Lefebvre is here this evening as well, that she can probably provide further information if you need it.
Okay, are there any questions around the council table? Oh, Councillor Jaworski.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor McDonald. Hello, Ms. Lefebvre. I just wanted to quickly mention that I think it's a good thing that in the end that you moved the garage away from the water course. I think working with the RRCA, although it probably looks like the possibility of there being a problem in the future is probably like well into the future and unlikely, but I still think it was a good thing to have done. So I wanted to add my questions to Ms. Haley. In terms of it being closer to the road now, there's no issue from the roads department perspective, right?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I did circulate our roads department. Unfortunately, I don't think she had a chance to review it, and I had to move forward as the application is presented. 2 meters is not, a 2 meter setback is not uncommon in some of our village settings, especially smaller villages like Williamstown, Martintown, South Lancaster. I mean, obviously the preference would be to meet the full 6 meter front yard. It would allow for parking in the front, allow easier maneuvering for the vehicles to pull in and out. But if I understand correctly, there's still available space between the garage and the house to park a car as well in that location? Yes, okay. Perfect. So that'll get a vehicle off the road, plus you'll have space inside your new garage for either one vehicle or belongings. 2 vehicles. Perfect. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Do you have any comments you wish to add, Mrs. Lefebvre? Okay, thank you. And yeah, not everybody knows land use planning. I know I certainly don't, so I could find myself in that same trap, I'm sure. Deputy Mayor Lang?
If there's no further questions, I'll move to approve.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor Lang, and seconded by Councillor McDonnell. So then we have a mover and a seconder. We'll put it to vote hearing the question. All of those in favor? Any if opposed? Excellent, carried, passed. Thank you. So next on the agenda is A2922, Rowzone, Notice of Public Meeting. So Mrs. Haley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this property is located part of Lot 33, Registered Plan 19, now in the geographic township of Charlottenburg and South Glengarry Township, and it's located at 19679 Williams Street in Williamstown also. This property is approximately 0.26 acres in area. And here's a map that shows the location of the property. Again, I'll just try and help orient members of the public. We have the Catholic Church here, St. Mary's, coming along County Road 19 that would then curve to go over the bridge in Williamstown. Many people are probably can visualize this property because it's a white house that's very close to the road that has been there for many, many years. So the purpose of this minor variance, I just can't read that well from here, so I better read from my page, is to, sorry, I just need to find the right slide, I apologize. I'm just afraid I'm not going to be able to read all the words. So the owners propose to demolish the existing single detached dwelling and to construct a new detached dwelling. Most of the new dwelling will be constructed on the existing or identical footprint with a few exceptions. Therefore, the following relief from the zoning bylaw 3809 is requested. Part 6.2 is to reduce the front yard setback from 6 meters to 0.80 meters to the proposed covered deck. Also, a watercourse reduction setback is requested from 30 meters to 10.96 meters to the northwest portion of the proposed dwelling and to 9.7 meters to the northeast portion of the proposed dwelling. I'm going to do my best to explain it better on this slide, if you will. The black outline shows the location of the existing structure, the proposed structure. This area right here is a new deck that's proposed in this location, but you'll see that this is to be constructed along the established building line of where the north main wall will be. For those of you who have the plan in front of you, you can see beneath the dark area is the existing footprint of the existing dwelling. And then when you come over to this section, this area is it's not quite the same location. And then here in the front yard is a new proposed deck. And we do have the applicants here this evening. So if I've said anything incorrectly in terms of how I've described that, please correct me after and you can probably do a better job. But I'd like to show you a few photos here. So this is the existing dwelling. So you can see how close it is to William Street. As I said, and it's existed that way for a long time. You can see this area that's jut out as well. And we have a couple more photos here. And one thing that was good that the applicants pointed out to us is when we do watercourse setbacks, we're either doing watercourse setbacks from the water's edge or the top of bank. But in this particular case, it very much does slope. So when you're on site, you can see that it drops off very slowly, where we have some properties that will have more of a defined bank and then drop off, or we have some that just, gradually go to the water's edge. So hopefully these pictures give a good image of what it looks like. Thankfully, we took these photos before our big snowfall on Friday because we would not be able to see a whole lot if that's the case. And so you can see here where the kind of existing deck is on the side, and then again how close that main wall is to the back. This would be our zoning map. The turquoise represents the boundary of the property. This area in here represents the natural hazard. It's not uncommon to have a hazard zone on a bank where there's slope. That's pretty typical along the Raisin River. So the property is designated rural settlement area in the county official plan, and it does conform to the general intent of the official plan. As I mentioned, the house is existing, and we're certainly allowed to reconstruct a new dwelling. And the property is zoned residential 1 and natural hazard, and the proposed dwelling conforms to the general intent of the zoning bylaw. So we did receive comments from the Raisin Region Conservation Authority this afternoon, and based on their comments indicate that they reviewed the site plan, that based on the existing dwelling's footprint, the RCA does not object to the reduction in watercourse setback. A significant concern at this location is slope stability. However, a geotechnical report was completed, and recommendations that are in that report should be followed to ensure the safety of the new dwelling. But there was nothing in that report that would prevent either the municipality or the RSCA from not supporting the redevelopment of the property. And the RSCA will also be able to provide comments and conditions when you go through their building permit process that's required under OREG 17506. So we've also circulated this application to all abutting property owners within 60 meters, and we've not received any written or verbal comments at all. And planning and building are supportive of this application and recommend it to be approved. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Haley. Are there any questions around the council table for this particular property? Councillor Jaworski?
Thank you, Mayor, through you, Mayor McDonald, and hello to the applicants. It's been an interesting property, this one. I'm sure it'll look lovely once it's redeveloped. My question is well, it's more of a clarification, Ms. Haley, in terms of the how you've described it. In terms of the watercourse setback, it's watercourse setback requested versus like our standard, but in terms of the previous building envelope, it's essentially the same, correct?
Through you, Mr. Chair, it is essentially the same. So there's a couple things that we look at for watercourse setback. One, if they're building on an established footprint, or if there's a new portion of the dwelling that's within the established building line. So in this particular case, there's no new portion of the dwelling that's going closer to the water than what is currently there today based on the survey that was provided.
Great, thank you very much.
Councillor McDonnell?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, thanks to the applicants, I think it's going to be very good changes for the property. I actually looked at the property back when it was on the market, and it's probably the best I could ever come to that. It's such a nice lot, it's such a good spot, but there's just way too much to do to the existing structure, and this is definitely the best outcome, and I have no problem moving it as presented.
Great. Did you want to speak, Mr. and Mrs. Rozo? Could you turn on your mic? I forgot to ask Lynn last
Okay,
time. Thank
sorry,
you.
not used to this. Everyone should probably know this that lives locally. It's Robbie McLaughlin's old house, who was a high school teacher for years. We bought it, with the intent, it needed some work, and then our contractor looked at it and deemed it was probably easier just to tear the whole thing down and start over, and that way we've got square walls and a dry basement, and everything else works the way it's supposed to, and so yeah, that's what we're doing. But we're just adding a few features. The only thing, I don't know if it was clear or not, but Joanne alluded to the front porch, but we're just trying to wrap a porch around on the west side. And right there is what we're doing. And then we're just turning an existing addition around so it doesn't stick out as much, and then a deck on the other side. So it's very much the same footprint. It'll look the same. We want it to look like it fits in with the village, so that's what we're going to do.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rozo. Mover is Councillor Jaworski. Do I have a seconder? We'll go. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so moved by Councillor McDonnell, seconded by Councillor Jaworski. Everybody knows the question in front of us. Take a vote. All in favor? Okay, any opposed? Seeing none, approved. Thank you. Thank you. Now we will move to close the meeting. Is there any further additions that you need to add at this point?
Yes, Mr. Chair, just to let you know that we do intend of having a committee of adjustment meeting at our January 16th meeting. It's possible that it's probable that I'll have one application, but possibly two.
Okay, so those would be the next meetings to be determined. Thank you for bringing me to the agenda. So I guess a move to adjourn. Okay, perfect. Second, all in favor? Approved. Thank you.